Fort Worth, Texas is a city that we're featuring today. We're talking affordability, we're talking lifestyle, we're talking real estate, we're talking about it all. So first we need to understand where in the heck Fort Worth, Texas even is. Fort Worth is located on the west side of the Metroplex and forms that large half of the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. Now from the heart of Fort Worth to the heart of Dallas, it's about 35 minutes. And to get to the airport from the center of Fort Worth, you're looking at about 25 minutes. Now to give you a sense of what the commute looks like in Fort Worth, let's apply our handy dandy how far can I go in 30-minute test, which as you can see, you can almost get to Denton. You're covering a good amount of Keller and South Lake. You're covering all of Colleyville and Euless and just about all of Irving, and you're touching the west side of Dallas. Now in those same 30 minutes, you can cover all of Grand Prairie and Arlington along with Mansfield, get to Burleson, Crowley, Benbrook, and you are in Weatherford as well. So basically you're covering a good portion of the western side of the Metroplex from Fort Worth. So now that we know where in the world Fort Worth, Texas even is, I want to welcome you to the go-to real estate channel for the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. So don't forget to hit that like button because that really helps out the channel. All right, so let's get back to Fort Worth, Texas because this is what you came for. Fort Worth, Texas is a city with rich history founded in 1849 as an Army fort. Fort Worth quickly grew into a bustling town and today it's the 13th largest city in the United States and home to more than 918,000 people. From its world-famous stockyards to its lively art scenes, there is something for everyone in Fort Worth. Fort Worth itself is known for its Western heritage. The city's iconic stockyards offer a glimpse into the past when Texas was an extension of the Wild West. Every day, cowboys drive longhorn cattle through the streets just as they have for centuries. The stockyards are also home to the world-famous Fort Worth Rodeo. In addition to its Western roots, Fort Worth is also a thriving cultural center. The city's museums and theaters offer visitors a chance to experience the arts firsthand. The Kimball Arts Museum is home to works by Monet, Van Gogh, and other masters, while the Bass Performance Hall hosts Broadway shows and world-renowned orchestras. Now, when it comes to housing, 57% of all the homes that are being occupied right now are actually owner occupied, which means that the owner of the property is actually living within the house and not renting it out. Also, there's an average of 2.85 persons per household, which of all the residents in Fort Worth, 83% of them have at least a high school education. And the median household income is slightly over $64,000. Now, I understand that I just shared a lot of numbers and a lot of stats with you. So what we're going to do now is we're going to actually use a resource to interpret a lot of those numbers that you just heard. And for that, we're going to use the website niche.com, which specifically specializes in interpreting this data and comparing it against other cities as well. So we're going to start with the sole A grade that Fort Worth received, which was in diversity. Now, the next several categories mentioned are all B grades for Fort Worth, which includes good for families, jobs, cost of living, outdoor activities, nightlife, weather, health and fitness, and commute. And as far as the C grades are concerned, Fort Worth received C's in public schools, housing, and crime and safety. Now, as far as the weather is concerned, the two hottest months that you're going to find in Fort Worth are going to be in July and August, where the average temperature is going to hit 95 degrees. Now, the average low temperature in those same months is going to be 74 degrees. And as we go to the polar opposite, the coldest months of the year are going to be in December and January, where the average high during those months is going to be about 56 degrees. And the average low in those two same months, December and January, the average low is going to be about 35 degrees. And as far as the largest employers in Fort Worth, we're looking at American Airlines with over 22,000 employees, the Texas Healthcare Resources with almost 19,000, Lockheed Martin with 15,000 employees, the Naval Air Station in Fort Worth with over 11,000, and the Fort Worth Independent School District with over 11,000. Now, of course, I'll leave all the resources that we're covering today down in the description, so don't forget to check them out. Now, to give you a deeper sense of what to expect in Fort Worth, I want to share with you the perspective of current residents of Fort Worth. I've been living in Fort Worth for the longest time and I can't say I had any bad experiences here. Everything has been good, the neighbors are nice, and stores, restaurants, gas stations are somewhere convenient. But one thing I want to change is the roads. We still have some highway construction for years and there have been some car accidents, especially near the highway. Another resident says Fort Worth is a great city to explore and have fun. There are cool museums, restaurants, and of course, the stockyards. And another resident had this to say: Fort Worth has a range of activities to do and a nice range of neighborhoods to live at a really decent price. Schools are pretty mid-range but safe. Roads are really nice compared to Dallas. Overall, nice place to start a family and settle down. Another current resident says this: I love living in Fort Worth. I've been living here for 10 years. One of the reasons why I love this community is that everything here is convenient for you. Everything you need and want is nearby, from gas stations, restaurants, Starbucks, malls, gyms, and schools. But one of the most beautiful things about Fort Worth is that it is very diverse. I am Burmese, but I have Thai, Karen, Kenyan, and Arabian friends. The schools here are also filled with students and teachers from diverse backgrounds and cultures. But the one thing that I wish for Fort Worth community to improve is safety. I hope the students and residents are safe even when going out at night. As for the environment, it is unclean, and therefore I hope that as a community, we would pick up trash when we find it in the streets or wherever we are. This way, the people will be healthy and also safe. Another resident says, for the most part, it is pretty safe depending on what side you live on, but I feel like that is everywhere you go. The scenery is nice. I've lived here for 4 years and I have had the best memories and experiences here. I'm pretty familiar with the places, so by now I am ready to move on to a different scenery, but great place to raise a family. Everything is very affordable here and they deliver groceries. How cool. And the last resident we'll feature today says this: Fort Worth is a city I was born and raised in and am currently still current occupant of. The city is decent, although you tend not to think of it as one of the largest cities in America because of how spread out everything is. The only place you feel like you are really in a city is downtown Fort Worth, which is relatively small. The people are decent and it is very diverse with a massive Latino community. There are a variety of venues, jobs, and things to do. Personally, I would say one of the best parts of the city is food, which is incredible if you go to the right places. One of the biggest misconceptions people have is roping Dallas and Fort Worth into one big area. If you spend more than a little bit of time here, it is very clear that they are two greatly distinct cities. Now, for those of you park lovers that enjoy going to the park yourself, or enjoy taking your children there, or enjoy taking some pets there, this is the part that's going to interest you. This is what the park situation looks like in Fort Worth. Now, what you're seeing here is the most popular parks and also the parks that have at least a 4.5 rating on Google. Now, note that this doesn't encompass all of the parks available in Fort Worth because that's not how Google works. Google is going to give you the most relevant. It's not going to give you everything. So just keep that in mind. There are green areas here that are actually parks, but are not highlighted as such. So with that being said, let's check out the more popular parks. Starting off with Trinity Park. Okay, so that was Trinity Park, but now let's check out Oakmont Park. All right, so now let's check out Burnett Park. Now, of course, there's a ton of other parks that warrant a highlight in a feature. However, we don't have time for that because we got to get to schools. And what we do with schools in this channel is we give you enough information to get started. There are a ton, and I mean a ton of schools in Fort Worth that if we spent the entire 30 minutes featuring, we wouldn't even be halfway through. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through as many schools as we can, and a resource that's all about schools is linked down below for your further research. So that being said, let's get going. We have the Harmony School of Innovation, Fort Worth, Southwest High School, Westcliff Elementary School, Fort Worth Country Day School, Fort Worth Academy of Fine Arts, Tanglewood Elementary School, Northside High School, Arlington Heights High School, All Saints Episcopal School, Premier High School, Montessori School of Fort Worth, Southwest Christian School, Chisholm Trail Campus, Harmony Science Academy, Hill School of Fort Worth, Dunbar High School, Oakhurst Elementary School, Richard Milburn Academy, South Hills High School, Burton Hill Elementary, Fort Worth Academy, I. M. Terrell Academy for STEM MVPA, R. L. Pascal High School, Sagamore Hill Elementary, Bonnie Bray Elementary, Rosemount Middle School, Paul Lawrence Dunbar Young Men's Leadership Academy, Young Women's Leadership Academy, Daggett Montessori School, South H.I. Mount Elementary, Trinity Basin Preparatory, Success High School, Morningside Elementary School, Metro Opportunity High School, Daggett Middle School, Amon Carter Riverside High School, Charles Nash Elementary School, and De Zavala Elementary School. Now again, we can't feature all of the schools, unfortunately, so I'll leave a link down below for you to continue doing your research. Now that we've talked a bit more about Fort Worth in terms of the lifestyle, the parks, the schools, a bit of history, let's talk some real estate. Now, according to Zillow, as a couple of months ago, the typical home value of homes in Fort Worth is $311,000. This value is seasonally adjusted and only includes the middle price tier of homes. Fort Worth home values have gone up 29.9% over the past year. Folks, this is not a typo, over 29.9%. And to illustrate what's been happening, check out the last 10 years of Fort Worth real estate. As you can see, it's been steadily climbing up and up and up until 2021, where it absolutely skyrocketed. Now, regardless of where you may find yourself, whether you're a homeowner or a renter, understand that real estate prices do impact you either directly or indirectly. So what that means is if you're a homeowner, well, you have to pay property taxes. If you're renting, you're paying for property taxes indirectly because the landlord, as soon as their property taxes go up, then your rent most likely is going to increase as well. And depending of where you are in Fort Worth, you may find your interest rates in the high 2% or in the low 3s. Meaning anywhere from 2.8% to 3.3% is a property tax that your home may be in. Now, unfortunately, I can't give you a precise number because property taxes have to do with the county, which everyone is in the same county, but it also has to do with your school system. It also has to do with your hospitals near and around the home that you live in. But rest assured, we're going to talk about property taxes later on in this video so you understand how property taxes work. But for now, I want to make home values more tangible for you because right now you're just seeing an average on the screen. I want to share with you what you can realistically afford with the price that you just saw. And what better way of doing that than by actually showing you what's for sale right now. So we're going to go in here and we're going to look at Fort Worth, Texas. So right off the bat, you see some incongruencies. You see that the average price of the 2,300 homes that are available for sale right now, or 2,300 properties is a better way of saying it, the average price point of those properties is $443,000. So that is substantially higher than what you just saw from Zillow a couple of months ago. So just a quick heads up before we venture forward, there is a link down below with all Fort Worth properties already pre-saved for you so you can follow along. So we're going to go to Fort Worth and we're going to only look at single family homes right now. We don't need commercial skewing things. We don't need condos skewing things or land or anything like that. And the medium price that we're going to put is $400,000. And the reason we're doing that again is because we saw that the average price there was going to be around $441,000. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at homes that vary anywhere from $400,000 to $500,000, which is a realistic price point that you might find yourself in this market. And as of right now, there's 157 properties for sale that are single family and hover between $400,000 and $500,000. So let's check out some of these properties to see what we can afford. All right, so that looks like a really good property based off of the photos. So let's go in and check this out. For $495,000 on the northern part of Fort Worth, almost to the edge, this is what you can buy. Now that home being sold for $495,000 has 3 beds, 2 baths, and just over 2,000 square feet and on 0.161 acres. Now if we venture a little bit further south, let's see what's going on with this property. This one too is being offered at $495,000, 4 beds, 2.5 baths, 2,200 square feet, and almost a fourth of an acre. So let's check this out. All right, so that home once again is $495,000, 4 beds, 2.5 baths, 2,200 square feet, and just about a fourth of an acre. So let's keep going a little bit further south so you get a full sense of what's going on. All right, so let's venture south of I-20. Now, as you can see, that home is offered for slightly less at $480,000. It has 3 beds, 2 baths, 2,100 square feet, and 0.14 acres. Now, what we like to do in this channel is we're gonna increase our average search. So we're gonna go over here and we're gonna move it to just slightly above the average of where we were looking. So we know that the average right now on market's 441,000, give or take. We're gonna go up by 100 and see what's being offered in this price point. Again, slightly above the average, where you're gonna find less competition. Now, not everybody may be able to purchase here clearly, but we want to see the type of product on the ground right now for that price point. So at that price point, you see that there's 68 properties being offered for that price. So we're gonna look through a few of these properties to get a sense of what we can expect with this type of ask. So I'll click through so you see a few options here and there. So we're gonna explore this one, the 5 beds, 4 baths, 4,400 square feet, 1/4 of an acre, and it's being offered at $650,000. So again, that home is $650,000, 5 beds, 4 baths, 4,400 square feet, and 1/4 of an acre. Let's move a little bit further south. This one is being offered at 600. That one's being offered at 600 as well. This one is intriguing to me, so we might come back and visit that one. Check out that one. I think we clicked on that one already. So let's visit. Just want to show you different looks. You know what? We will look at this one instead because we've already given some love to Eagle Mountain. So let's check out what $600,000 buys us on this side of town, close to the lake. In fact, it might be lakefront. 4 beds, 2.5 baths, 3,200 square feet, 0.149 acres. So that home, once again, is $600,000, 4 beds, 2.5 baths, 3,200 square feet, 0.149 acres. And lastly, let's go down south, see what's going on. So this one, $550,000, 5 beds, 3.5 baths, almost 3,400 square feet, and 1/5 of an acre. Now that home once again is offered at $550,000. It has 5 beds, 3.5 baths, almost 3,400 square feet, and is on a fifth of an acre. Now, as you might have guessed, the properties that you saw today most likely will not be on the market by the time that you watch this video. So for the updated list of all the homes that are available in Fort Worth, then I invite you to check out the link down below. So now that we know where Fort Worth is, we know a little bit about the traffic, we understand a bit of the culture behind Fort Worth, the parks, the schools, and the real estate, along with the homes that are available for sale now. Let's calculate some mortgages. Let's calculate how much we would need to pay every single month to be able to afford a home in Fort Worth. All right, so let's start off by doing some math. We're going to start off with the home. Let's say we are going to purchase a home in Fort Worth for $500,000. And let's also assume that we're going to put 20% down. Now, one quick note, you do not need to put 20% down. You can get into a home for far less than this. The only reason I'm putting down payment of 20% is because I don't want to do the calculation on the PMI. So the private mortgage insurance. Now, if you were to put, let's say 5% down, and assuming that your credit score is doing well, and assuming that there's no big issues, if you put 5% down for a traditional, you would be for a traditional loan or a conventional loan, you would be responsible for PMI, which again is called private mortgage insurance, and whatever rate you have at that moment in time, most likely it would increase by 0.5 or 1.5%. So 0.5 to 1.5% is basically an additional interest that you would need to pay. So there it wouldn't be a 5.61%, it would be a 6.1%. Now again, I gave you way more than I wanted to share in terms of PMI, but there you go. So let's just say a property that you're looking to buy is $500,000. You would need $100,000 if you're going to do 20% down. The loan term is going to be 30 years if you so choose it. And on average, since the rates have been going up, we're just going to have to put something around 5.5. Now, this was drastically different a month ago, 2 months ago, 3 months ago. So you cannot time the real estate market. So what we're going to do here is just put this interest rate right now. If you're getting a different interest rate, then just plug away. That's why I'm showing you how to do this for yourself so you don't get abused by any lenders out there, by any real estate agent that's out there. You have the information at your fingertips. Now, if the home is being sold for $500,000, I can almost guarantee you that the property is being assessed something less in terms of, I'm getting ready to calculate the property tax. This is why I'm making a difference between market value and assessed value. Assessed value is what the county sees your property valued at. And most oftentimes it's gonna be less than what it's being sold for. So chances are if you're purchasing a home for $500,000, the assessed value is less. And also I'm gonna make an assumption that you're gonna live in this property. So you're gonna be able to apply what's called a homestead exemption, which reduces your property tax liability even further. So what I'm gonna do is let me just use the exact same figure here, even though I know that you're probably gonna pay less in property taxes because of those two things I just mentioned. The assessed value is probably less. I would guess somewhere around $420,000, $450,000 is what your property is being assessed. Again, totally speculating, making a lot of assumptions here, but just giving you how the sausage is made. And the second assumption that I'm making here is that the homestead exemption is going to be applied to this property and you're going to be paying less in taxes. But for our purposes today, let's just say you are paying taxes on all of those $500,000. And let's just say your property tax rate is around 3%, which is roughly what it would be. That's $15,000 in property taxes per year. I'm going to divide that by 12. And that means that on a home of this price, if you're being truly taxed on all $500,000 of it, you're going to be paying $1,250 in property taxes every single year. Now, when it comes to homeowners insurance, it's going to run just various. It's going to depend on the property, the age, any claims that were made on the property. It's going to depend on you as well. So I'm going to put a $250 homeowners insurance. It could be much higher. It could be less. This is something that you would need to research on your own. And also a pro tip, pair it with your other insurances like your car insurances out there. And when it comes to an HOA, a property in Fort Worth of this price most likely will have an HOA attached to it. Just giving you a heads up. So I'm going to assume that there's an there's a HOA, homeowners association fee of $200 per month. Again, making a huge assumption here, but I'm giving you a realistic number that you can expect. So for a home of this price, assuming all of the numbers that you saw today, you're looking at about $4,000. Now, don't worry about the credit score. That's going to determine your interest rate. I'm just assuming that you're going to get a 5.5. If you were to get a 6.5 as an example, well, you see what it does to your monthly payment. So I just want to give you a realistic breakdown of what you can expect to pay monthly, and now you know how to calculate it on your own. And now we of course know that your living expense is not the only expense that you have when it comes to affordability, when it comes to cost of living. To give you a detailed breakdown, a more thorough breakdown of what you can expect to pay and how much it would actually cost you to live in Fort Worth, let's look at the cost of living. Now, we know that the median home price is actually higher than this based off of where the market is right now, but here we're saying $328,000. The median rent, again, is going to be a little bit higher than what you're seeing on the screen right now of over $1,000. The average energy bill is going to be $168. The average phone bill is $180. And the gas, I sound like a broken record, has recently shot up as well. So if I go to the corner and fill up my tank right now, it's about $4 a gallon. Now, when we look at food and grocery, a loaf of bread is $3.09, a gallon of milk $1.80, a carton of eggs $1.68, a bunch of bananas of $3.11, a hamburger $3.93. And if you're in the need of healthcare, a doctor's visit can run you $108, a dentist visit $92, an optometrist $101, an average prescription drug $430, and a veterinary visit $57. Now at this point, if you're sold on Fort Worth and want to see the homes that are actually available for sale right now, then check out the link down below. But if you're at a place where you're just not fully sold on Fort Worth and want to see some comparable cities, I want you to check out Irving, and I also want you to check out Arlington. I think you're going to find enough similarities in those two cities that you're going to enjoy. And if there's a city that we just haven't featured on this channel yet, then let us know in the comment section down below so we can feature it. And of course, if you're looking to make money on your next real estate transaction, then check out the special link that we have for you in the description.